What is up YouTube? And as promised, we have a Mizusumi Aya build video. I'll be talking about how I actually like to build her and use her, and even more importantly, we'll talk about her skill investments that you need. Now, Mizusumi Aya, people originally thought she would be kind of like a budget Doki Doki because of her purifying effect. It also works even if she's CC'd if you get it to level 5, which is pretty important, but people are starting to realize that the main power of her kit is actually in her S3. This ability is super broken because you boost your entire team's turn meter by so much, and also you're going to see that it reduces CDs of your skills and shells. So it's really broken if you have her go before artisan characters such as Rahu, because if you boost him up, you give him his artisan right away, which makes him a lot tankier obviously because he has that shield. But he gets that increased defense by 700, which makes his S3 on the opener do so much damage. So a really powerful character. She's really good with artisan characters. I did actually showcase her with a lot of the artisan characters in my last RTA video if you want to check that out. But this character is absolutely amazing. And for skill investments, I think you really want to max her S2 because if you don't, you can't really play her into CC. If you max it, you can. So it's a pretty big difference. In terms of if she's good against CC, not really. I think she's kind of an okay character, but she can't really solo cleanse your team because she only purifies 1 debuff, while Doki Doki, she can actually do 3 debuffs with her backup. Now, the downside is if your Doki Doki does get blocked on the opener by something like a Heinrich and stuff like that, she does actually lose a lot of value because you need to take a turn with your S3 and not have block to actually get your stacks up so you can actually start dispelling. Where Aya, even if she doesn't take her turn, she can start dispelling right away. And also she heals, which is going to be good against pure control teams because they don't do enough damage to kill you with this healing effect. So in regards of Aya against control, I think against pure control with like no cleavers, she's extremely powerful as a soul dispeller. But if you're fighting against like a cleave mixture, you're going to want either another character to support her like Doki Doki, or even something like, you know, Sanya to res her if she ends up dying. So basically you want to max out her S2. In terms of her other skills, not really required outside of it, but I will say level 2 in her S3 is really good because you get that extra turn meter push. Level 3 and level 4 are also very good, and level 5 is really good. So basically what I'm trying to say is she gets so much value out of Lattice that you will want to max her if you want to use her everywhere. But in terms of minimum investment, I found that this level 2 in her S3 was good enough for me, but all of these skill nodes are very important. For her S1, it doesn't really matter too much. You're getting extra chance to reduce your skills, which is your S3 when you use it, because you know there's a chance to reduce your S3 cooldown when you S1, but not really important because it's RNG, kind of like Lilith in a sense. You're mostly going to want the speed, so I do recommend getting her 4 points to S1 eventually, because the speed is very good for her because you get to cycle a lot quicker and dispel more often. But honestly, 151 is like the bare minimum, and after that it's kind of like a bonus. Now, in terms of how you want to build her, she's actually missing a piece because I was doing some PvE. This is like the full stat setup. This is the build that I like on her. She is very good with low effect resist. Some people like to run her on effect resist, but I found that for my games it's not really necessary. But this is the setup that I like. I like to run her on full defensive stats. HP is obviously better because of Messiah Cleave and stuff like that. I just don't have enough gear to put onto her, but hopefully after the 2x event I will be able to put her on better gear. But basically, you know, HP percent right side is the best. I found that Bloodbath, Bulwark, and Evil Guard is like the best setup on Halloween. I know some people like to run her on Codex even, or like other shells, but I like this one because in Bruiser Mirrors, you can actually cycle very quickly and get your S3 off multiple times a battle without people dying, so it makes her a very powerful character that way. The Bulwark is really good because if you go against Holden, and Holdens are generally going to outspeed her because they're on Swift Smite, right? They're usually at like 270 speed. You need it to not get reset because you really need to get this S3 off on the opener, or she kind of just loses a lot of value. So yeah, definitely a really good character on this setup. Like I said, if you want to run her on more F-res, it's really up to you. Having more F-res is nice because if you go against like Obols or like stuff with multiple debuffs and you resist, you can actually, you know, have less debuffs on yourself, so you can have a higher chance to not get stunned on the opener. And if you S3 on the opener versus control, you just auto win. Very powerful character. I think she's very strong, and even though she does have like a weird kit, the characters you bring around her are really going to affect her strength, which I'll talk about. So like I said earlier, she's really good with like Rahu and like Artisan users because you tune her to go before them, which is very easy because Rahus and Mizukis are pretty slow. And then what you end up doing is you push them up, and before they do their big AoE, they get that defense buff. And because they scale with defense, the Artisan Shell gives you a defense buff, you do even more damage. On top of that, because she has an effect where if people die, she resets the cooldown of her skills by a bit. Where is she? I can't actually find her. There she is. You can see whenever a unit dies, whether it be your team or the enemy team, this cooldown gets reduced. You're going to see that she's really good at revenge killing with characters. She can actually just push up your other DPS or, you know, even like your healer, and then they can use their skill. So when you use this with like Sonya, for example, if one of your DPS dies and you're holding on to your Sonya S3, Aya gets pushed up immediately. You can push up your Sonya with your S3, and then Sonya can just res right away. So it makes it a very, very powerful ability in terms of, you know, countering when people die. Makes her very annoying, honestly. It makes her a character that you really want to kill early on, because whenever you kill an enemy besides her, she just gets pushed or she reduces her cooldowns, and it's just really annoying, and it kind of snowballs out of control. And with Halloween, this kind of just makes it even stronger. So yeah, definitely really annoying character. What does she really get countered by? I don't think really anything hard counters her, to be honest. The only thing I will say is you want to pick her with characters that synergize well with this S3. So like Artisan Abusers, like I said, and you can't really just pick her too early. I mean, I guess you can because she's pretty strong, but you get a lot of value by picking picks that synergize around her. So yeah. Another very good character that actually synergizes very, very well with her, which I kind of forgot to mention, but is a big part of why she's strong as well, is Fushu. And the reason why is because with Fushu, you know how she's super strong when she's in this Moonlit Veil, and when it falls off, she's kind of useless until it comes back up. Well, Aya's S3 reduces cooldowns, so basically when you pair them together, Fushu only really has 1 or even 0 turns of downtime on her S3, especially if you make Aya fast and if you put her on Halloween. This just makes this pairing super powerful. A lot of defense teams in Arena are also using them together, and it just makes Fushu turn even stronger, right? You'll see that Fushu has a lot of AoE healing and turn meter push, and Mizusumi Aya also has a lot of healing and turn meter push AoE as well, with Purifying. So they synergize extremely well together and are an extremely potent duo. That is pretty much it for Mizusumi Aya though, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm going to showcase her more with Kokardi in RTA, even though I've showcased her and him pretty heavily in the past few days. I will be releasing new videos with them because these two are so fun to use in PvP, and I think they're really good characters for that area of content, so definitely worth investing into. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.